Hello everybody and welcome to my first ever video blog here. Today we are going to review the 3 things that advertisers need to know about audience targeting, and I'm going to talk about a couple sides of it. I'm going to talk about how to analyze it and also how to implement it. So let's get started. So the first step in analyzing your impression share, I'm sorry, in analyzing whether or not you need audience targeting is to determine where your impression share is at for your campaign. And recall that impression share is the percentage of time that your ads show on AdWords. It's a column that we can display within AdWords. If you click the columns drop down box in AdWords here, you can see I'm using this fancy paint document for a few just references here with some screenshots. If you click columns, modify columns, the 3 things that we're going to be interested in is your total impression share. So you can see here, search impression share. It's a little bit covered by this box here. And then you want to look for your search impression share loss due to rank and budget, and the same thing for display campaigns. It's under competitive metrics. You add these columns in AdWords, and they'll display down here. Here you can see the impression share for this campaign. And we're going to discuss a little bit about what these percentages mean, how to analyze them, and what to do with them. So I've got this other screenshot up here. So there's 3 different types of impression share. The first one's easy. It's your total impression share. It's the again, it's a percentage that's derived from the amount of times that your ads showed divided by the amount of times that your ads could have showed. So let's say you sell red shoes and 100 people Google red shoes and your ads show up 50 out of 100 of those times. That would mean that you have 50% impression share. If your ads showed up 25 out of the 100 of the times, that would mean that you have 25% impression share, and so on and so forth. A lot of the clients that I've had in the past will immediately think that if they don't have 100% impression share, that's a bad thing. That why aren't my ads showing 100% of the time? It's actually bad to have your ads show 100% of the time, because what it means is that you're paying way too much to show in that top position. We've found through all the work that we've done in AdWords that it's actually I don't want to say like all the time, because nothing's 100% in this business. Really, the answer is that you have to test it and see if it works for you and your business and your products. But generally, a healthy impression share lands anywhere between 50 to 80%. So if your ads are showing 50 to 80%, you can see I have those boxed in purple here on the healthy percentages of where we try to land each one of these pieces of data. If your ads are showing 50 to 80% of the time, that's about what we're looking for. And I've got a few examples here that we're going to go over. The first example here, if your impression share is less than 10%, what that essentially means, because Google never says 0% or 100%, again, just kind of relating to what I just said about nothing is 100%. And Google knows that, and that's why they always say that it's either less than 10 or more than more than 90. So if your impression share is less than 10%, it essentially means 0. It means that your ads aren't showing up much at all. In this example here, example 2, you can see the ads are showing up 25% of the time. Again, not necessarily good or bad, just means that your ads are showing up a quarter of the time. And then example 3, you can see it starts getting a little healthier here, where the ads are showing 60% of the time, and then 40% of the time we're foregoing showing up because maybe the bid is too high, or some other reason. We'll go over those reasons when we get into rank and budget. The reasons that we can lose impression share due to rank, because again, we're showing up 50 to 80% of the times, that means that 50 to 20% or 20 to 50% of the time we're actually losing impressions. If we lose impression share due to rank, what that means is that you have competitors out there that are beating you by either having a higher bid on their keywords. So if you bid $10 and they bid $20, that they're going to beat you there. The other reason is if they have a better quality score. If their ads are written better, if their landing page is better, if their targeting is better or more relevant, they're going to be given higher quality scores by Google. Impression share loss due to rank really isn't all that important. to analyze. It's just kind of the leftovers. The two most important ones that you want to keep an eye on are your total impression share, what's highlighted in blue here, and then your what we're going to talk about now, lost impression share due to budget. That is by far the most key variable. Impression share lost due to budget. What it means is, let's say you have a campaign that you budget $100 a day to, let's say. And let's say by noon, you cap that budget where it gets up to $100. Google will immediately shut off that campaign because you told it not to spend more than $100 because that's your budget cap. However, if that campaign caps on its budget at like 2 p.m., that means everywhere from 2 p.m. for the rest of the day until midnight, until the next day starts, you're technically losing impressions. So what that means is that there's really no reason to cap your budget, or I'm sorry, to be losing impressions throughout the whole entire day. A simple solution is to cut some of what you're advertising to and have the ads show for longer throughout the day. So a way of doing that is decreasing bids. If you decrease bids, show up in a lower position, then you're going to be losing more of your impression share to rank, but you'll notice that your total clicks will go up. And the reason for that is because when you lower your bids, you lower the cost per click. And when the cost per click goes down, then by the time your budget caps, you actually can fit in more clicks within that given budget. So by lowering the bids, you can actually increase the amount of traffic that you're generating to your website. And you'll also be mitigating your impression share loss due to budget here. You'll see that the purple box here shows that a healthy impression share loss due to budget is between 5 to 15%. The reason we essentially just wanted a little bit over 0%. So 5 to 15% is usually pretty healthy. If your impression share loss due to budget, you can see in example 1 here is greater than 90%. That means you have a lot of work to do in terms of cutting out your budget. Having impression share loss due to budget greater than 90% is bad. You don't want that. In example 2, 65%, that's still very high. It's certainly no 90%, and there's still a lot of work to do even with 65%. But it's trending a little bit better. And then example 3, you can see it's at 25%. 25% is actually pretty good. It means that you can probably trim a little bit here and there, but it would just involve some minor adjustments in order to get into that 5 to 15% range. But 25% is certainly not bad by any means. So the reason we're applying this to audience targeting is we were talking about cutting some of the spend out, and that's exactly what audience targeting does. In a remarketing campaign, for example, the default for any remarketing campaign is just to remarket to anybody who has visited your website. The problem is not everybody who visits your website is necessarily someone that you want to be advertising to. For example, if someone Googles in the red shoes example, let's say they're looking for bowling shoes and you don't sell bowling shoes, but they typed red shoes into their browser, they may click on your ad, realize you don't sell bowling shoes, and immediately click back. That's not a customer that you want to remarket to, but it's still somebody that's going to be populated to that list. So now, if we have a situation like in example 1 or example 2 where our impression share loss due to budget is extremely high, instead of lowering the bids and kind of going with that route, what we can do is narrow the audience that we're targeting to, and that way you're going to have less people to target with your ads, and it mitigates the situations where people would be clicking on your ad who are not interested in your products because you're going to be cutting them out with audience targeting. Now, there's two types of audience targeting that I really like, and those are the two applications that we're going to talk about today. The first one is targeting them based on their behaviors on the website. And the second one is something called topics that's in AdWords that we're going to review in a second here. So again, impression share, if your impression share loss due to budget is above 5 to 15%, it means that you can be using audience targeting to be cutting back. So these red and blue impression shares, if you aren't looking at impression share when you're analyzing your campaigns, start doing it. Add those columns and start looking at it, and make sure that if you see that it's very high, that your impression share loss due to budget is very high, just know that that you could be cutting some of those people out and be getting better conversion rates for your campaigns. All right, let's move on here. I want to talk about how to apply this here in Analytics. So go ahead and sign into your Google Analytics account. And I'm going to be using one of our clients as an example here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a goal in Analytics that, and we're going to target users who complete that goal. And if we click on the admin tab up here, which I already did, hit goals, and then hit plus new goal, we'll create a new goal here. The goal that we're going to be creating, and this is one of my favorite ones to do, is targeting people who didn't bounce off the website. So in the example with the guy with the bowling shoes, he immediately clicked back off the website. We're essentially going to be filtering out people who don't show any interest in the site by spending any time on it. So if you create a new goal here under admin, click custom, click next step. Feel free to pause the video if I move too quickly here. Name your goal, so we can call it didn't bounce, meaning that they, time on site greater than 15 seconds. What we're going to do here in a sec, I'll show you. It's going to be a duration goal. It's going to be dependent on the amount of time they spend on the website. Hit next step. Here it's going to ask you how long you want them to have. The goal, it's a duration goal, so they're asking you how long is the duration. So we're going to do greater than 15 seconds, and it's you'd be amazed at how many people you cut out by just eliminating the people who spend less than 15 seconds on the site. Honestly, in my opinion, if someone spends less than 15 seconds on my website for my business, I'm probably not interested in retargeting to them anyways. So we can click verify this goal. It'll tell us how frequently someone completes this goal. So you can see here by cutting out the people who spend less than 15 seconds, you're cutting out almost 70% of the people that come to your site, which is amazing. So we create goal. Now we have a goal for people who didn't bounce. You can see it here. I'm going to turn it off because this is just an example. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a remarketing list or targeting list in Analytics. Go back to your admin tab here, click remarketing, click audiences, and we're going to create a new goal. So hit new audience with the new goal that we created. So hit plus new audience, select your AdWords account, hit next step. And what we're going to do is you can actually create a list based on any parameters that you want, but there's a really useful one here, and this is why we create the goal, users who completed a goal conversion. So we're going to select that one and hit that little pencil icon to change it, and just find the goal that you set up here, completions. Here it is. Didn't bounce, time on site greater than 15 seconds, goal 7 completions. So what we want to do is set it so that we want it to be greater than 0. So if they've completed this goal more than 0 times, then we want to target them. That's essentially what this remarketing list is saying right now. So click apply. And the membership duration is kind of interesting. We can set the membership duration to whatever we want, and it's going to be dependent on the product or service that you're trying to sell. If you are selling let's say you're like in real estate and someone is looking to buy a house, they're not necessarily looking to buy a house today. In fact, they might be looking to buy a house, 6 months from now. So in that case, you would want to keep the increase the membership duration to 180 days or something like that, or 90 days or something like that. This is essentially asking you is how long after somebody completes a goal do you want them to stay on your list? Because it rotates where once they get populated to the list, the default's 30 days. After 30 days, they're going to fall off of that list until they complete that goal again. If you're selling just a normal, like maybe e-commerce kind of impulse buy type product like clothing or something like that, then you'd want to keep your membership duration much shorter because, people don't necessarily think about buying clothes for 6 months. They just kind of do it. So we're just going to keep it at 30 days, but feel free to adjust that. Give your audience a name. Didn't bounce. Example list. So I know to delete it after this video. And hit save. All right, so now we have created a remarketing list within analytics, and the next step here is to import this over to AdWords to our display campaign. So let's go ahead and open up a tab for AdWords and log in to that same account over there. And we're going to be looking for one of this particular client's display campaigns because we are going to set up targeting based on the list that we just created. So here you can see that they have a remarketing campaign. So we want to click on the remarketing campaign, click on this display network tab, and what we're going to want to do is hit, it's going to be under here, interest and remarketing, but go ahead and hit plus new or plus targeting here. It's going to ask you a few questions, like what type you want to use. Here you can see that it's already using the main lists under for what they're targeting. So what we can do is we can edit that list and we can delete the default for any remarketing campaign that you set up. It's going to default to targeting all users. But what we can do is you can see that this didn't bounce example list was already imported over to analytics. It imports immediately. So we could scratch these two off and then add the didn't bounce list, and then it would target people who were only populated to the didn't bounce list. I'm not going to do it because this is just an example, but this is the process that you would go to setting up your list. And so once we did that and then hit save at the bottom here, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. This remarketing campaign would now only be advertising to people who spent more than 15 seconds on the website, as opposed to the default where you're just advertising to anybody. And that's relevant because when we look back at this impression share campaign, if you're losing 90% of your impression share due to your budget because your budget caps out really early in the day, then why not just trim some of the fat, save some of that money, and have your ads run for longer to more relevant people throughout the day? It's a rhetorical question. You would obviously want your ads doing that. But that's why we look at the impression share. If you have really high impression share loss due to budget, then this is a great way to cut it out just by narrowing your remarketing list. That's one of my favorite ways to do it, is just by cutting out people who bounced off the website. It's a good first step in the right direction, and you can start to get more granular from there. The second thing I want to talk about is called topic targeting, and this is something that we actually do within AdWords itself. Is under the display network, you'll see that interest and remarketing was one of the tabs that we could use. The other one is topics. Topics are, Google has all of these preset topics on websites. All right, let's use an example here. Let's pretend like there is a website that revolves around women's health, during pregnancy. That website is going to be targeted to a certain demographic, which would be women who are probably pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant or whatever. But you wouldn't want your banner ad. Let's say you have a business that sells, prostate health pills. You wouldn't want that to be showing up on a pregnancy site because most women are probably not interested in their prostate health. That's why Google created these topic targeting, is because they classify different websites based on the topics that are on that website. All right, so let's go ahead and show you how to do this. If we click on the display network tab and click on the topics tab and click plus targeting, here there's a section for topics, and we can edit this. If you click that little pencil icon that I just clicked, I might have missed that. I'll go ahead and do it again in case you did. Big red plus targeting button. Sorry if I'm moving too quickly. Big pencil icon here next to topics. Click that. I'll show you how to edit it. Here are all the topics that AdWords has: real estate, shopping, sports, travel, games, food and drink. There's actually a little question mark right here. If you if you just click that, come on, there we go. If you click the little question mark, it says see full list of topic codes. If you click that, it goes to this page that has them broken down. Actually, has really nice explanations of how to do this. It'll give you the codes for each one of these categories. So I really like this because there's generally only like one or two of these categories that are really relevant to your product. Like if you're in landscaping, for example, most of this stuff is not going to be relevant to what you do. And so you can just pick the two topics that are relevant to what you do rather than having to like manually click each one of these in AdWords over because there's a lot of them, as you can see here. Like if we look under news, there's, you know, so many for news. But let's say, you know, we're dealing with a lawyer here. We'll go under law and government. We want to copy and paste all these categories, or however many you want. And you can look under other ones too if you want. This is just going to be an example for now. We copied those codes and then click add topics using codes and just copy and paste all of those in here. Hit add. It usually rejects a couple of them because some of these topics are outdated, which is just on Google's end. So just delete the ones that it says are outdated and hit add. And then it will add all of the topics that you added in there. You can hit save, and then you're done. And then it'll only target websites that are relevant to the topics that you are advertising to. So this is great because let's keep going with the lawyer example here. As a lawyer, you want to show on legal websites. You don't want to be showing on, you know, like the pregnancy example that we were talking about. You don't want to be showing up on a site like that because it's, you know, it's a different topic. It's a different category. It's not necessarily relevant to what you do. But if you show up on things that are legal to actual lawyers, then your conversion rates can get much higher. You can cut out a lot of the fat out, and narrow your targeting to people that are more interested or likely to be more interested in your products. So those are my two favorite ways to target people. The first one that we talked about was behavior lists, and targeting people who have completed a certain goal on your website, whether they visited a certain page or spent a certain amount of time on your website. Again, you can get creative with who you want to target there. And then the second one is topic targeting that we do within AdWords, where we target people based on the topics on the websites for the banner ads that you're going to want to be displaying. So that's another great way of doing it. And again, always keep an eye on your impression share. Look at your impression share loss due to budget. If you're wasting money just because you know, it's the display network, so there's a massive traffic density out there. If you're advertising to too many people and your impression share loss due to the budget is too high, try implementing some audience targeting like this and see if you can narrow the traffic down and help out with your conversion rates. Anyways, good luck trying this out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.